Hi everyone, my name is Eliana Mendoza. I'll be your moderator for this session and welcome to Google Camp. If you guys want to connect on social media, if you guys can hashtag IE Google Camp, and that will be for Instagram and Twitter. Also, if you need help, there's a help desk and there's a chat option where you can find my name, Eliana Mendoza. And you can also go on the Sked app and select help at the top. And the title of the session is Soaring into Community Building, the Sky's the Limit for All Learners. We have Sano Patel as a presenter, L.Kirchhoff, and Tori Waddleton. And I'm gonna go ahead and hand it over to them.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. We were hoping to start with a little music, but we didn't get to it. If you do get a moment on that very first slide that I'm about to share with you, there is a really great musical, a song that I grew up with back in the UK. So you have to check it out. And it basically, it goes with, what was it again? There's no limit to reach for the sky. So it went with this theme. So we're going to try and play it at the end. Okay, Laurel? That's okay with you? All right. So before I introduce myself, I want to hear who's in the room since this, this presentation is about community building. So please respond with this in the chat box and let us know your name, district, and an emoji or words to share how you are feeling, please. And you could do that by going to Zoom, your Zoom window, going to edit, and then emoji and symbols if you didn't know where that was, if you wanted to add your emoji. So let's see who all is in the room. All right, got Paris in the house. Woohoo, SBCSS. Hey, Roslyn. Menifee. I have a special soft spot for Menifee. My own children go to Harvest Hill STEAM Academy. I wonder if we have any of their teachers in the house. And I live out here in Menifee, so this conference is definitely one of my faves. Awesome, we've got San Marcos here. Nice. The beauty of virtual conferencing is that we can get people from all over the place. Please continue to add your names and who you are, because I really want to go back and check who all was in the room and who all is here with us all today. Thank you for introducing yourselves. I'm going to introduce myself and then some of my awesome moderators. I'm the presenter today. My name is Sonal Patel. I'm the coordinator for digital learning and innovation for San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools. And my email address is below. I'm also a member of Our Voice Alliance, which is a nonprofit organization that works with people of color to help raise profiles, to help our voices to be out there publicly. And also, I'm a Google certified trainer and innovator and a leading edge certified educator. Please follow me on Twitter and add all your great learnings from today. We love our Twitterverse. With that said, I am going to introduce my awesome chat moderator and my other guest chat moderator that was just told literally 15 minutes ago that I needed help. So thank you, Laurel. Go for it.
Hey everyone, my name is Laurel Aguilar-Kirchhoff and I work with Sonal at San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools. It's great to be with you today. I am the Digital Learning Project Specialist, and building community is so important, especially as we move into this uncharted territory in the fall. So we appreciate you being with us. And I will be working on moderating the session today. Our norms are on the screen. You're already doing a fabulous job. We're already pretty much used to being on Zoom. We appreciate you being muted. If you have a question, please make sure you add your name and where you're from in the question. It just helps me give a personalized answer. And of course, our regular netiquette is appreciated. And there's all of my information as well. You can follow up with us after the session. And I'm also putting the link for the slides. If you want to grab a copy of the slide deck, it's also in Sketch. So thanks, Sonal.
Awesome, thank you, Laurel. And then we've got Tori. Can you unmute yourself and just introduce yourself real quick, please?
Yes, my name is Tori Watlington. I'm a special education teacher for the Marietta Valley Unified School District. I primarily worked with students who suffer from emotional trauma or behavioral disorders, but I've also been using a lot of technology and just my skills in equity and parent relationships to kind of bridge that gap and make school enjoyable for everybody. And I'm very excited to be here. You can also, I don't have a page on here on the slide, but you can follow
I'm so
me.
sorry, Tori. Yeah, go add it in chat, please.
It's all good. I will. But you can follow me on Twitter at thatdopeteacher. And my email is tori.watlington@gmail.com. I'll add all that in the chat. So thank you.
Thank you for being here, Tori, and thanks for being a trooper. Some of you probably went to his amazing session just now, and he's got another one coming up, a panel presentation at 12:30, I believe, or 12:20. Yeah, check out Scared for that. Okay, so we're going to start with a short Menti activity because I want to keep getting to know you. So go ahead and describe yourself using menti.com. So you can do this on your phone. It works really well on your phone. So you can go to www.menti.com and you can put the code 728651, and then you're going to use as many words as you can to describe yourself. You do not have to fill all the boxes. If you want to add more boxes, you're welcome to do so. I'll give you about a minute to do that. And while you're doing that, Laura, did you already add it into the chat window?
I am doing that right now.
Awesome. As soon as you have, I'm going to share that results link. And you can describe anything. You can describe anything about yourself, nationality, origin, ethnicity, male or female, mother, wife.
Go for it, Sonal. You can start sharing the results.
Okay, there we go. Awesome. Keep that sharing going. Awesome. We've got a mom in here. We've got several moms in here because that word came up really big. For anyone that hasn't used Menti, it's a great interactive tool that really helps us enhance voices, especially when you have so many people in the room. We've got some teachers in here, of course. That's awesome. Coaches. I used to be a coach. Loved my coaching world. Still pretty much of a coach right now. A sister. I'm also a sister. Got some travelers. I love to travel. It's killing me not to be able to travel outside of the state right now. I was supposed to go back to the UK to visit my family last week, and I wasn't able to do that this year. Normally I go back each year. Looks like we've got such a diversity of people in here, and that was really the point of me doing this activity, just to highlight that we have a diversity of people in the room. You have, you constantly have classes that are full of diverse students with different qualities, different attributes that we want to kind of hone in on. The other day I went to a presentation myself, and the awesome presenter asked me to just pick one thing to describe myself, just as a follow-up to this. And that was the hardest thing ever. And she was just making the point that it's really hard to sum yourself up in just one word, and that people bring so many different qualities to the table. So thank you so much for sharing. I love this one, mediocre chef. I bet you're better than some people that are out there that are trying to cook right now with this COVID situation. I'm not gonna relate that to me because I love to cook. All right, so I am going to go back to the next question, which is, what does community building mean to you? And that is going to be displayed. It should be displayed on your Menti wall already. So if you go to that same code, 728651, you should see the next question come up. What does community building mean to you? Feel free to add suggestions to that one. And while you do this one, what I'm going to do, I am going to mute myself. All right, I'm back. And Laurel, could you give me a heads up? Can you see my screen with the community building Mentee up?
Absolutely. And there's a quick question in the chat that if you could talk a little bit about Mentee and just really briefly.
Absolutely. Mentee is a free tool that you can allow for responses on, so interactive responses like this. And those responses can look like a word cloud. It can look like responses like this. You can add a poll on there. It's just a really quick, activity that you can create in moments, in just a few seconds. This code changes every 24 hours or so, so you need to make sure that you update it. But if I do, I'm out of this in a minute. Easier just to show you on my Mentee. So it's as easy as this. Like, you go to mentee.com and then you can go to your presentations and you can add a new presentation, add what you want it to be called, test, create a presentation, and then you are able to add any questions the way I just asked the question, right? And it allows you to really enhance all the voices in your classroom and do quick interactive activities, community building activities like this. So do check it out. It is really fairly easy to use and it's free. At least the basic version is, which allows you to do just as much as the premium version. Well, the bare necessities that you need. So let's see what people put. Creating an environment where students feel safe and their voices are heard. Yeah, trusting and safe relationships, building genuine relationships. I think the themes are really, common. They have a lot in common with each other. Connecting with diverse groups of people, yeah, making sure there is a good rapport between everyone. Great, especially the beginning of the year activity to do, something like this, where you're truly getting to know your student. It's going to be really a lot harder to do in the online setting. So just paying attention to that is going to be, is recommended. Okay, so thank you for that. I'm truly learning a lot about you. So we're going to try something else right now. And I'm going to be brave because I've never used this in Zoom before, okay? But I was like, let's just go for all of it right now. But I'm going to use Zoom's polling feature right now to see whether you would consider yourself more of an introvert, ambivert, or extrovert, okay? So I'm going to add a poll up and you should see it once I launch it. So I'm hoping that you can actually see it on your Zoom screen right now and you can answer.
Yeah, it's up right now.
Awesome. And then I'll give you a few moments to do that. You've got about 15 more seconds. A lot that consider themselves in between. I keep doing that 16 personality Myers-Briggs test and I keep coming out as an E. My letters are ENFP, if anyone's ever done that. All right, and then just use this infographic to help you to identify yourself. We've got a lot more introverts in the room today than extroverts. Awesome. Well, it's good to know. We've got a lot of people that are in between that. I'm going to end the poll right now and share the results. Can you see those results, Laurel?
Not on your screen, Sonal.
But on your screen?
Yeah.
Awesome. So you saw that 58% of people consider themselves an ambivert?
Yes, and 26 were introvert and only 15% were extrovert.
Awesome. Thank you for participating in that. So those are a couple of community building activities that I did, and they're great as icebreakers. I wanted to just share with you this Padlet wall of different icebreakers that have been suggested and that are out there. I did use this for another conference and people added to this wall as we were going along. So feel free to continue to add to this icebreaker wall if you have any additional ideas. We would love to hear from you. So please do feel free to add to that. So that brings me to the real outcomes for today. Getting to know you is always important, but the outcomes for today is learning best practices for community building around the guidelines laid out by the National Standards for Quality Online Teaching. You're also going to learn about pedagogical strategies and online tools for community building. But in order for me not to overwhelm you today in the short amount of time that I have, and Laurel agrees with me. It's really difficult to be able to do this kind of presentation where you've just got a short amount of time. We're used to doing half-day workshops, but we put this in a nutshell. So we'll try to not overwhelm you, and we'll do one short tip, one technology tool or strategy for each substandard that I share with you of the National Standards for Quality Online Teaching. For those of you that have not heard of the National Standards for Quality Online Teaching, the NSQOL standards are basically a set of standards that are meant as guidelines for best practice for online learning experiences. And what I did from these particular standards, and I do want to take a moment to show you that they are laid out in, I've got it set up here. They are they're split up into 3 sections: teaching, programs, and courses. And we're referring to online teaching standards right now. And while standards sound really dull and boring, honestly, when you look at these and you look at the substandards, and then you go down here and you see the explanations of what those standards mean, it really helps to form a little bit of a guideline, especially with the examples that are shared alongside those explanations. So do check them out thoroughly, but for the sake of today, we are focusing in on just Standard C, community building. And we're going to look at each and every one of these substandards and then talk briefly about each substandard as we go. All right, let's start with this one. So this one basically talks about the online teacher employs learner-centered instructional strategies and current practices that leverage technology for learner collaboration. So what could we do to make your online environment more collaborative? Well, for this one, I decided let's focus a little bit more on synchronous experiences, and we'll talk a little bit more about asynchronous tools that you can use a little bit later on. But for synchronous, what I mean by synchronous is same-time communication. So we're talking about this right now where I'm communicating with you in real time. What can we do to make those a little bit more interactive and collaborative? We could share our screen the way I'm doing it right now. We can use interactive whiteboards, which in a moment, Tori and I have a surprise to share with you. And then we can share student screens. So students could share their screens and, you know, talk and have a voice in whatever you're communicating with them. And then you could also do breakout rooms, right? Whether it be Google Meet, Links, or Zoom. What I mean by that is within Zoom, you know that you could do breakout rooms. And if you don't, you can do breakout rooms with Zoom, which is really beneficial to a lot of our students that like to have discussions in small groups, and it allows you to add collaborative activities. You can also do that with Google Meet though. You just do it a little bit more creatively. There is a link in that yellow circle there. All of my links will be in those yellow circles on each slide that I present to you. So do check those out. Here it says Google Meet breakout. Check that out. That video is created by a friend of mine called Clay Codes. You can also utilize the polling questions, which I utilize today with you in Zoom. That's a really great way of keeping it interactive and collaborative and leveraging the technology that we have. And then don't forget your non-verbal feedback and your icons. I had you use emojis earlier on today. Some of you used it. Some of you were quite happy just writing in your feelings, but these are non-verbal cues where you put your thumbs up and, you know, and use those types of cues as well within your sessions. So I'm going, for each substandard that I share with you today, I'm going to ask a little reflective question. So my reflective question for right now is, what are some of your comments, ideas, or suggestions for synchronous learner collaboration tools? Please add your comments in the chat window right now. I'll give you a few moments to do that. And then Laurel will start sharing some people's suggestions today. Love to hear from you.
So Mauricio put in remind, which I have to also agree, and Tori just put that into. Remind is such a simple tool, but it is so powerful, and it is great instant communication where you can reach your parents as well. I highly recommend Remind, and it's free. Desmos is also being mentioned. Nearpod, which is, love me some Nearpod. Class Dojo.
Is that Denise? Hi, Denise. Good to see you here.
This Pear Deck. Pear Deck is great.
I love Pear Deck. Yeah, those are really great to get people interacting in real time. And then Flipgrid's more of I'd say more of an asynchronous tool where you're not necessarily there at the same exact time, but we do love us some Flipgrid, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little while.
Absolutely. So, and Tina mentioned talking points, which I'm not familiar with, but I'm going to have to check out. So,
okay, talking points, another great one, kind of like Remind, and it translates for us as well. So I love it. Okay, so are you ready for this, Tori? All right. So Jamboard. Has anyone heard of Jamboard is the question. Put your thumbs up if you've heard of Jamboard. I gotta look at my little window here. Thumbs down if you haven't. Thank you for putting your videos on. I love seeing faces, by the way. Hey Roz, I see you smiling. Good to see you. Okay, so Jamboard is a really great interactive tool. Oops. That I love. I'm loving using right now for professional development and for advising teachers. So if you could, we're gonna do something in real time right now where I'm gonna click on a Jamboard window. A Jamboard that, sorry, not that Jamboard. A Jamboard sample that I already have. I'm gonna just show you how easy it is. And by the way, to get to Jamboard, it's as easy as you get to your Google Slides and Google Docs. This image clearly shows you how to do that, where you basically go down from where it says Google Slides to More and then to Google Jamboard, and then that gets you to a new Jamboard. Jamboard is an interactive wall that you can have students add sticky notes to based on any prompts that you basically ask them. For this one, it was a lesson on Dr. Martin Luther King, and I put just, what do you know about Dr. Martin Luther King? And so Tori is gonna have a go at just adding a sticky note in real time for you right now so that we can see what that looks like. Ready, Tori? Nice thing is you can just share your screen in real time during your sessions. Powerful leader, yep. And then I can go in as a teacher, and while students are writing on there, by the way, you can have 50 people at a time on there in case you're wondering, which is why I couldn't have you all on there. But if you do want to have a go at using Jamboard right now, send Laurel a private message and she'll get you on this board. We already discussed that. I was like, I want as many people as possible on there. Okay, so I love this powerful leader. You know, I might make a comment, might make a smiley face, whatever I want to do in there. It's really basic, you know, I mean, I think sometimes basic and simple is nice. I'm sure you would agree, but we love it. Visionary, yes, absolutely. What's nice is you can color code your sticky notes. Let me just show you. And you can add images to it from Google image search in case you wanted to talk about a picture or anything else. You can erase anything that you have. Tori, do you want, I'm going to take a quick second to ask whether you have had successes using Jamboard and, you know, whether you can see this being used in your classroom and how you could see it being used in your classroom.
I haven't used Jamboard myself, but I do like it. I will use it in my classroom. This year I'm teaching kinder, so probably not as much. But when I return to like the upper grades, I would definitely use it. We do research projects sometimes, and I'll do something similar to this, but on the whiteboard, and just kind of put the person's name in the middle and have the students take turns throwing out different adjectives or just words that make them think about the person we are learning about. But this is a lot more engaging and interactive, so I'm definitely not using this in the future.
I like it. And what's really nice, thank you, Tori, for sharing that. What's really nice is you can add several pages. You can add as many pages as you want. I've used it in the past for when I split off my breakout sessions. I'll tell breakout room 1, you got to write on the first Jamboard. Breakout room 2, you have a different prompt for the second breakout. And then breakout room number 3, you'll do breakout room number 3 board. And then when they come back to share, they will share based on their board. So I'll go to breakout room 1 board and I'll be like, can the nominated spokesperson for breakout room 1 please share what your group discussed, right? And usually it's adding sticky notes and then discussing something. Great tool. It's definitely my top tip for today. I will have a few more, but this one I love. Do check it out. All right, Laurel, do we have any questions about Jamboard?
No, so there's a question about can you invite specific students, and I had just mentioned that you could share the link, or you could, obviously it's a Google product, so it works well with Google Classroom. And there is, if you want to know more, I guess there was a session that was specifically on just Jamboard, so check out Sketch and take a look there. I also put another resource, YouTube link right now in there. So, but also it's just like you mentioned, it's just a really great way to get your students involved, and really you can be really innovative with it. So
awesome.
No right or wrong way to use it.
All right, so moving on to substandard C2, where we're talking about online etiquette, modeling implementation, and enforcing the requirements. So we can't do, you probably already experimented with all of this in April, May, but we can't just assume, as you saw, that students understand expectations online, right? We started with norms at the beginning. We need to ensure that we make those clear to our students, both in the synchronous and asynchronous environment, like Google Classroom and so forth. And then we need to model interactions too. So if you are, you know, in anything that you're using, you could always use screencasting for modeling anything that you want to show them how to use something, especially if students cannot access the synchronous meeting at the time that you are having that meeting. So having that screencasting option is crucial when we're thinking about equity issues. And then sentence frames, using sentence frames and modeling examples to students, as well as asking for feedback constantly from our students about what is working, what's not, and how we can help them be more successful online. Don't forget that, you know, we will expect technology glitches, but what we need to do is explain to students how to deal with those and model that to our students as well. Tech glitches happen all the time. Laurel calls it tech glitch. And we just plow on through. Sorry, I'm not in presentation mode. Here's some resources for you to check out. I love, Laurel did this fantastic Screencastify webinar yesterday. If you were there, do check that out. If you get a moment, I linked it into here. And then Google Forms for feedback. Common Sense Media is always amazing for digital citizenship lessons and other, you know, great resources. And then look at this netiquette for ground rules for online discussions, because even that can see that can get quite glitchy in the online environment if we don't ensure that we use adequate netiquette for online discussions. And here, this lists a bunch of do's and don'ts for online discussions that helps us to truly involve and engage our students. So if you could think of any more building goods, what did I put on here? What are some more online netiquette ideas that you might want to add to chat? Please do add it to chat right now, and we'd love to hear from you. For the sake of time, though, I am going to move forward, but do continue to add to chat at any point. It goes really fast, doesn't it, the time? So I want to show you this. I love, this is the top tip, the next top tip. It was an infographic that I had created using Google Slides. So it was as simple as clicking on Google Slides and creating a deck of expectations and norms, and everybody's norms look different depending on the age group and depending on who your learners are and what kind of expectations you need to set based on experiences. Feel free to use these, make a copy for yourself, add your own Bitmojis, add your own rules and norms, and manipulate it in any way you want to. If you're wondering how I got 6 of them on the same page, I simply went to print settings and preview. And then I went to 6 slides per page. And voila, if I want it landscape, I could do it that way. If I want it portrait, I can do it that way. So it's just really just a simple way to do an infographic. Of course, there are many infographic tools out there, but this is something I thought you could take away right off the get-go and use in your classroom. So do feel free to use it. Okay, so substandard number 3. Before I move on, were there any comments shared about the last one, Laurel? We good? No? Okay. Thank you. Thank you for being great moderators. Okay, so we've got C3. The online teacher develops a community among culturally diverse learners by providing opportunities for interaction that are conducive to active learning. Yeah, there's a typo there. I'll change that. There we go. So some pedagogical strategies to use, of course, this is like just my favorite thing ever, building trust with our students, building relationships, something that we really need to be aware of. And in the online communication space, it becomes even more important. Staying in tune with anything that is happening in our students' homes and backgrounds that we might need to know about so that they can better access material online. And also expressing an interest in their personal lives and creating areas in the course for personal connection. So if you have, like, say, a Google Classroom and you're constantly putting academic work out there, what about if you, added, say, a Padlet wall, which is another interactive tool, and you've had students share something about their personal lives that might be related to what you're communicating with them and might not be. It's just a way for you to get to know them. So ensuring that you're constantly getting to know the diverse learners in your classroom. And don't forget to add frequent class announcements so that students see that you are being active. Okay, so I wanted to share with you an asynchronous tool. Do add some great building trust activities that you might have to share in the chat window, please. Do you have anything? Give you a moment to do that. Restorative practice circle, absolutely. Thank you, Mauricio. Making voices feel valued, yeah. Also giving choices to students. I think that's really important. Thank you so much. Keep sharing, and I'm going to move on just because I want to make sure I get to all of the things that I want to share with you today. So a lot of people know about Flipgrid now. Flipgrid is a great video collaboration, a tool that can be used asynchronously. What I mean by that is not at the same time. So it could be something that you don't have to be live for. And it really encourages that community aspect. And I'm not going to show you that Flipgrid yet, but I am going to comment on when you set up your Flipgrid, there are things that, have been ahas to me recently that might be ahas to you as well as you start to continue to use Flipgrid. I'm not going to go on about how to use Flipgrid per se, because I've got an educator's guide over here. But one of the things that I've been stressing to many folks is using examples or sentence frames in your Flipgrid videos, because we kind of assume that our students have the academic language to be able to participate, nor can we assume that they're comfortable in participating with their own discussion responses. So what could we do to make that easier for our students? What can we do to remove some of the barriers that present itself to recording videos? Well, here's an idea that I had for you, sentence frames and using that in the prompt, giving an example in that prompt as opposed to just throwing them out with a question. This question said, who is your hero and why? And I put an example, my hero is my mom because she takes good care of me and she's my best friend and I love her. So I've got a little example. Even better than that, having your own example in there, your own video example. So you as a teacher modeling what that looks like is a great way to get students participating in Flipgrid videos. And then I love this one recently. Recently I did a professional development and I had teachers participate in the Flipgrid video. And what they did was, instead of showing their face, which I do love seeing faces, but I know that I'm video shy myself. So I really appreciated the fact that you can put an emoji over your face in Flipgrid and then your voice is the only thing being shared. So that can be great if you're like me and camera shy, and it can be great for people who don't want to show where they're at in their homes or anything like that, or their general environment. So you can hide some of the background. So it's a really good feature. So make sure you do take advantage of the emojis and letting students know that they don't have to show their video, because there can be a lot of discomfort associated with that. All right, so any questions about this top tip 3?
No, but there was just some amazing chat happening about when we were saying, the last slide, getting our students involved with creating norms. Tori mentioned that's a great way to build community, introductions with our students, but then going in, and I don't want to say your name incorrectly, but I think it's Narida. I'm not going to say it correctly. I'm so sorry. But for the littles, giving them time to share in Zoom, TK or K for the letter of the week. brings the item and begins with that letter. So really having them bring something and share it and getting that interactive community, especially for our littles, is so important. And I just thought that was such a great idea. And so I apologize for not saying your name correctly.
I love that name.
It's so hard to do that, but that was such a great idea. I wanted to share it.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. And the one thing I forgot to, I was just going to quickly demo that part of building community is you not just, showing those great examples, but also responding to your students, right? So I just experimented with my own 9-year-old over here where she responded to a question with a sentence frame about a book that she was reading.
I predict that Jack will have the most.
Isn't she cute? I know. I love using her in my presentations. And so you can reply to any of those posts with clicking reply. You do have to obviously sign into your Flipgrid. I was signed in before. I hate when it does that. Okay, and you can reply to her. You can just hit 3, 2, 1 and be like, Maya, I absolutely loved your video. Thank you for sharing, blah, 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 blah. And you can stop it, and then you can hit next, and you can submit that reply. I absolutely loved your video. I'm just going to confirm it, but it's really nice for our students to go back and see their responses live from their teacher. So what an amazing asynchronous communication tool that can feel like you were there at the same time in the same space, but not really. So I hope you like that example. And I love, keep the examples coming in from you all, because we're all, I know that we've got a lot of expertise in the room, and I love hearing from you all. But for the sake of time, it goes so fast. I am going to go on to C4. And then stop me at any time if you just really want to like share something, Laurel and Tori. I really do not mind. Okay, so the online teacher promotes learner to, I cannot see because I've got my screen up, hold on. Learner to learner interaction in online groups in order to foster collaboration and promote higher order thinking skills such as analysis, synthesis, and or evaluation. I know many of us are not there yet, but many of you are thinking about how can we make more collaborative experiences online, and how do we make this so it's not chaotic, so to speak. We as adults struggle with online collaboration, but what, and I know that that can be difficult, but what can we do to make this the norm for our students where they are getting opportunities to collaborate? We can promote activities that incorporate higher order thinking, such as projects and different ideas. I've got some things linked here that you might want to check out, like design thinking. If any of you have explored the design thinking process, activities that lend itself to design thinking. And then there's this really great project-based learning website here that you might want to check out, PBL Works. But what's important to stress here is that we do need to set those expectations and guidelines, and rubrics are a great way to do that. If you have not used Google Classroom rubrics, honestly, Laurel and I really only started using it when all this happened in March, and we just cannot believe the ease of use of Google Classroom rubrics. So do check out this video and see what that's all about and how it could be used, not just for group projects, but for any assignments, so that students know what's expected of them. So what are some successful strategies that you've employed for online collaboration? Do feel free to share in the box. Do you have any types of activities that you've done in the past that you feel have worked well? How have you made it go a little bit more smoothly? Just feel free to share any of your suggestions. Is anything yet, Laurel?
Well, I'm sorry, I've been typing away. It's been such a great chat.
Awesome.
Talking about you doing scavenger hunts with themes and colors. Also getting your students that maybe are a little shy, or maybe they're more introverted, they're able to participate in a way that's very non-threatening. So that was such a great idea. Also using Flipgrid for world language teachers. Breakout rooms in Zoom with Google Slides, and using Seesaw Classroom blog. I mean, there's just so many brilliant people in this session. I want to just like soak up everything that they know, because it sounds like there's just, I mean, we already know that we work with amazing educators in both Riverside County and San Bernardino County. Sonal and I get really excited, but the innovation that you're putting in here is just awesome.
And I love this, Denise, breakout rooms in Zoom with Google Slides. Absolutely. Tori, class playlist on Spotify, and students could earn jukebox tokens and use them to play their favorite song for the class. Wow.
Genius. Genius.
We'd also learn a lot about them in that. I love, love, love. Keep them coming in all, but I'm going to keep moving because I love this and I think you will love it. Group roles are important, right? And how can we best leverage group roles with our students? And obviously it looks different depending on your age group. This is designed for probably about, grade 3 onwards. I think even high schoolers could use this. So let's have a look at this document here. So this document is shareable. It's another one that I created that you can literally hit file, make a copy, and make it your own. Okay, so feel free to make it your own. I want to make life easier for you. But it's just got a list of different roles that I think would be important for a group project. And it tells you what those roles entail, right? What is your responsibility in that role? And it also gives tips on what types of questions to ask and what types of things to say during that role. So for instance, for facilitator, they might say something like, let's read the directions, let's go into the next step, onto the next step. What do you think? And if I go down here, I want you to know that I made this a very online learning friendly. So in the online environment, what might you do? You won't say, let me get the scissors and paper. You'd instead say, you'd say, how would you like me to send you the material, right? Online. What can I add to this? And you think about curating and organizing resources in a space. So that would be the materials manager's responsibility. And you could call it all sorts of fun, different roles for the online environment. And then timekeeper as well. We have X minutes left. Let's try and wrap this up. Can you tell me your availability? Those types of things to say. So this is just a useful graphic organizer for you to use. Feel free to make it your own. Hope that will be helpful to you. All right, so we've only got 7 minutes left, so I've got to breeze through this one. And like I said, I wish I could have like hours and hours to do this, but we only have this time. So hopefully I've shared some great resources with you. But this one's about meeting the learning needs of all of our students. And we talk about breaking down barriers. And we're talking about accessibility and culturally responsive teaching. We're talking about online lesson design, and when you're creating your online lessons, no matter what format you use, are you considering the barriers that present itself as you're creating them, as you're backwards designing? Here's some really great resources for you to check out. I love these 7 strategies to culturally responsive pedagogy, which if you were in Talisa Sullivan's and Dr. Brown's keynote yesterday, they had referred to it. It's just a really great guide on some ideas of culturally responsive teaching strategies that you could incorporate into your classroom. So do check that out. What are some ways that we can remove barriers in the online learning environment? Please add your responses to chat. Of course, for the sake of time, I am going to have to move to the next one because I do not want to miss an opportunity to share with you StoryCorps. Give me a thumbs up if you've heard of StoryCorps. I want to kind of get an idea of whether you've seen that before. Doesn't look like that many. Great to see your faces, by the way. Doesn't look like that many, but it's a really great site for you to check out. Go ahead and check it out. If I read this out to you, their mission, okay? So preserve and share humanity's stories to build connections between people and create more just and compassionate world. There's stories from diverse backgrounds, stories from diverse places, stories that really, talk about situations that many of our families find themselves in, or celebratory stories that people have shared just to inspire us to, encourage us to connect and empathize with the learners in our classroom. Do check them out because I think that they could be so valuable in using in your classroom. Many people use many of the elements in here to create an experience in their classroom. Many of the videos that are collected, many of the podcast recordings with interviews that are there are meant to inspire our students. So do check them out. There's such a variety there. There's animations as well that you could look at, but it would be, and it's really easy to go to. It is a non-profit organization. just a really great addition to add in order to build community in our worlds. And you know, many of our students come from different situations, and it's up to us to stay in tune with those situations and really connect with our students by understanding their worlds. So do check that out. Oh my goodness, 4 minutes. That went super, super fast. So I've really enjoyed being here with you today. We do a lot of work around the national standards for quality online teaching, but because of Laurel and I's passion about community building, we wanted to start off right there. Do reach out to us if you have any questions about those standards or anything else that was shared with you today. If you want to keep up to date with the things that we continue to provide, the events that we hold at the county level, please do sign up for DLS News by texting DLS News to 22828, and we'll ensure you get our next newsletter, which is coming out soon. You'll hear about events that are taking place in the Inland Empire, some you know, pedagogical strategies, tools. We'll just continue to share the latest and greatest. Also, don't forget to follow us on Twitter, SBCSS EdTech, and we shared our other Twitter handles at the beginning today. Don't forget Tori's as well. We've really enjoyed being here. And oh, don't let me forget this. Our Webisode Wednesdays begin on August the 5th. Every other Wednesday, we're going to have a free Webisode Wednesday where we do a webinar like this and share some great ideas. The first one's going to be about building community if you want to come and hear this presentation again. But the second one after that is actually, it's changed now. It's going to be a Screencastify one. So do check out our OMS links here so that you can sign up for those Webisode Wednesdays, which are every other Wednesday. We'd love to keep interacting with you all. And then if you haven't heard about our Leading Edge certification for online blended teacher, I know it's loading, I'll give it a minute. It's a national certification program that is instructor-led, and it goes through a 10-week program that talks about best practices and really teaches best practices for online learning and teaching and blended learning. So it's not sharing for some reason. Let me go back. We might do it out of, yeah, there we go. It's split up into 10 weeks, and we've got modules such as accessibility, which is really important, evolution of online blended learning, assessment and strategies in the online world, digital citizenship, pedagogy and practices. Collaboration is its own module in itself. We have a new cohort starting in September, so if you are interested, please do check that out. And I'm not sure why the link didn't share to that. We'll make sure that the links are in there as well at some point, or I bet you Laura will grab it in a moment and put it in the chat window. And then there's also the Leading Edge Flex program. Actually, it is in there, it's just taking a while to load. The Leading Edge Flex is a Ludo game, gamified format. It's a self-paced online professional learning game where you'll learn a lot about blended online instruction and digital pedagogy, as well as how to be a successful professional learning leader in the online environment. So do please feel free to check those out and ask us any questions if you have any. With that said, many thanks to you all for being here. It's a big topic that really I could spend all day on. We love talking about this, but we'll continue the sharing and we'll continue communicating via Twitter or through emails or whichever platform you use. But thank you for being here today. Laurel, do you want to say any final few words?
I just wanted to thank Tori because he is like such an inspiration. He's an amazing teacher. If you are not following him, and I don't want to embarrass you, Tori, but he's also a poet and just like all around brilliant. So I highly, highly recommend following @thatdopeteacher. And he's also involved with IAQ and everything. So Tori,
involved is the new IAQ board member. Sorry, I have to shout that out. Tori is our new Inland Area Q board member. Sadly, I can't be on the board with him this year. I did step down from my role in June because of how busy things are getting, but having Tori in that place, wow, Tori, do you want to say any final few words?
I don't really know what to say, but thank you everybody for for attending the session. You know, yeah, please follow me. I post poetry on there sometimes. Thank you. And just innovative and creative ideas to make your classroom more fun and engaging for the students and their families. So yeah, feel free to follow me and ask me anything. I have a podcast on the way. So
Awesome. Thank you, Tori. Can't wait to hear it. And with that said, Ileana, do you want to sign off? Or sign us out? Can you hear us? No? Okay, I think she was just going to talk about going into your SCED and completing the survey, which we do get the feedback for. So please complete that survey, and we look forward to hearing your feedback. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I'm going to post the Webisode Wednesday links again. Again, they're free. You just log on. It's going to be through Zoom. It's an hour of free PD twice a month. And we are going to be looking for guests from around the Inland Empire. So if you have an area of expertise, Tori, that you want to share with everyone, we are going to be looking for guest presenters to come in. We know that there are, obviously from our chat, many brilliant educators out there, and we would love to have you come and share your knowledge. So going to go ahead, and I'll put that in the chat again, and thank you for being here. We just it's such an honor to work
anyone
with
that's left, sorry, can you take your video off, please? I have to get a selfie. I always forget to do this, but I want a selfie of you all. So please show your videos right now. For anyone that's left that wouldn't mind participating. Oh, can't see it on. All right, I'll give it a few seconds. Thank you so much. Let's see all the awesome people that we have in the house today. All right, smile, everyone. Gotcha. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye, guys. Thank you, Laurel. Thank you, Tori. I'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll stay in for a second.
I think.
Just in case. Because
Yeah.
I wanna save the chat, so I'm gonna do that right now. I think I can save the chat,
I'm
right?
taking another picture, so smile. Tori, smile. Here, let me put my camera down. Got it.
Tori, thank you so much. Actually, another one,
Yeah.
one more of you three. You two as well.
No problem. I gotta get ready for my next session.
All right, go. Bye. Bye.
Got a big keynote. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.